Hey everybody, this is me, Undead Viking. I want to talk to you about this game. It's called Agents and Operatives. This is a brand new game from Everything Epic Games, the guys that brought you the really cool game Secrets of the Lost Tomb. This is a worker placement game with a secret role hidden trader mechanism. I would liken it to basically like if you thought of like Bang, the card game, as far as the secret roles, as far as that game is considered, like different teams of players, and you're all trying to kill each other and trying to figure out who you are killing as well. But like just take that kind of theme, but don't have the cards or the guns or the bang cards or anything like that, but then throw in some worker placement like plays as far as moving meeples around to activate different locations, then use those locations to your best ability to not only discover who at the table is on your side and who isn't, and also using the abilities of the locations to get weapons or make attacks and things like that to take out your enemies and protect your friends and so forth. So let me show you how to play the game. It shouldn't take too long. It is a pretty straightforward game, but oh man, is it fun. Then we'll come back here and I'll talk about why I've had a lot of fun playing Agents and Operatives. Alright, this is Agents and Operatives. I've gone ahead and set up an 8-player game of this. This game does handle 4 to 8 people, and I think the Kickstarter does have the ability, if it reaches certain stretch goals, to get even more players involved in the fun. Just keep in mind what I have here is a prototype that was sent to me by the publisher, so the looks of the game are subject to change when it is published. So, to begin any game, depending on whatever number of players you have to determine the amount of each faction that is going to be involved in the game. So if you're playing a 4-player game, you're going to have 2 agents and 2 operatives. Agents technically are like the secret agents that are on the good side, if you will, and the operatives are part of the like evil shadow side, if you will. There's also, in larger numbers, like with this 8-player game, you're going to have mercenaries, and mercenaries are just that. They're kind of in it for themselves. They have specific rules of how they have to win. Normally, agents and operatives, to win, they need to take out and kill off their opponent, the other faction. But mercenaries, it can depend upon the mercenary faction and what have you. So, just like before the game begins, you're going to take these agents and operatives cards, and these all look the same on the back. As you can see, this is a secret trader game, so obviously these will be dealt out to each person. And so you will have like watchdog agents, and so your prime directive is to identify your agent allies and operate enemies, and then decimate all the operatives. And so they also have some reveal abilities and defunct abilities, and I'll talk about more of those in just a little bit. The reveal ability basically said, like, at some point in the game, if all of the agents know who they are, because you don't know who's on your side at the beginning of the game. So once, like, your side figures out everybody that's on your side, so all the agents know all the agents, all the operatives know all the operatives, or the mercenary just knows because they're only in it for themselves, they can reveal what they are, the whole team reveals what they are, and then they have the special power come into play. Now, the defunct ability means that if they are taken out, like you are decimated, by meaning that you take, there's this little damage track here, and as you take damage, you will move your little pawn up like that. And once you hit 15, that means you have been decimated. It means that you are severely weakened. You can still move your operatives around this board, but you don't get to take any of the actions that are on that board. So you can just kind of gum up the works, if you will. And you can't use weapons or gadgets or anything. All you can do is kind of punch people and do 1 point of damage. But you have a defunct ability. So like Rogue Agents, you lose most, but here it says you continue helping your allies to victory or total decimation. So not much there, but the fact of the matter is that you can still win. You're not out of the game. Now, so you might be saying, okay, so like I'm assuming that the operatives are pretty much the exact same thing. Once again, they have a reveal ability, and their defunct ability is still pretty much the same go-around, if you will. But mercenaries have like their own little thing where it's like, here's the mercenary is prime directive. it depends on the number of players. So the number of players actually will determine what the prime directive is as far as the mercenary is concerned. Usually they just need to survive and then be alive when like one side gets taken out. That's a very common thing. So you have to kind of just move around and skulk around and make sure nobody figures out who they are. But their defunct ability has recruited. Now you help the faction that decimated you. So like you'll like switch sides and you'll help the people that took you out. Whereas you have like the Hawk Squad mercenaries, and they say defunct ability is vengeance. You now help the enemy faction of the player that decimated you. So you might like somebody might take you out, but then all of a sudden now they're dealing with another opponent to them. So some things like that can happen as well. So each person's going to get one of those cards. They keep that in front of them and keep it secret and keep it safe. And so they aren't like outed until you actually are outed by somebody else. Now, the game is relatively simple. You just determine whoever the first player is, and you're going to be taking your little meeples here, and you're going to be placing them on these locations. Just like a lot of worker placement games, the locations can only support one person. The only difference to that is this spot right here in the embassy. In the little infinity symbol, you can have every single meeple can be in that spot if you want to be, and you can use that location. Now, when you place a meeple on one of the locations, you don't have to, but you may, if you're able to, you haven't been decimated, you can activate that location and take the action that is available to you. Now, I'm not going to go into each action just yet. I will go over those here in just a little bit, but that's the first thing. The second thing you can do is you can take what's called a hostile action. And the hostile action, it comes in the form of one of three things. One of them is that mass reveal ability, where everybody reveals as the team. When you reveal as the team, the first team that does that gets the ability. So, like if the operatives reveal, the agents can't reveal the next turn to use their ability. So it's kind of a race against time. But you can fail to do that, because if you say, okay, all the agents reveal, but one of the agents doesn't for whatever reason because they don't want to, at that point, you don't successfully reveal and get your special ability that's on for your faction, and you have a situation where you can't then reveal, and the other team can. They have the ability to do so and still get their ability. Now, you might be saying, well, mercenaries all by themselves, why don't they just reveal? Well, the thing is that mercenaries, if they're revealed, if people know who they are, that stinks, because of the fact that, like, basically everybody will gun for them and take them out because they don't want the mercenaries to win. Mercenaries are in a really weird situation where if they pull off the win, they're the sole winner of the game. It isn't like they're teamed up with anybody. So both the agents and the operatives want the mercenaries to lose. So yes, mercenaries have some pretty cool powers when they reveal. Like the Hawk Squad. For the remainder of the game, if you're attacked, you can immediately counterattack when you reveal. That's a really awesome power, because then it makes people think twice about attacking you. But the thing is that you're standing out sticking out like a sore thumb, and it's just only a matter of time before you're eventually taken out. So that's something to think about. Now, the other two possible hostile actions you can take are just simply an attack, which is just like you can do a hand-to-hand attack. So like if like blue was in the same spot as pink and pink moved here, they took their action, they could say, I'm attacking blue. And they can do a hand-to-hand attack, which just does 1 point of damage, so it would go like that. Now, if they had managed to get their hands on a weapon of some sort, say like this silenced pistol, you can see that would do 3 damage. Now, there's no rolling of dice or anything like that. You just have the effect work. You say, I'm going to attack you with my gun, I'm going to shoot you, and I'm going to do this damage. However, these little gadgets that you have here, you can get defensive cards in here, like bulletproof vests, or jetpacks, things like this that will allow you to super magnets, things like that you can play when you are attacked to avoid some of the damage. Like bulletproof vests, obviously the bullets are absorbed, things like that. And so you have the ability. But if you don't play a card when you're attacked, then you're in a situation where you take that damage and you're in danger of being decimated. Now, The other thing, the other hostile action you can take is an intel check. Basically, you're hacking them, trying to figure out whose side they're on. Now, you have to have one of these cool little jump drive tokens. These are intel tokens. You collect them when you're at the embassy. It's one of the special abilities you can do that's there. The cool thing, I should mention about the embassy before so I don't forget, one of the cool things about the embassy is that you'll notice it's kind of red. That means because there's no weapons allowed there. You can still get into fisticuffs with people and punch them, but you can't have a gun there. So just keep that in mind. What you do then is you discard your jump drive, and then you're going to hand the other player these 3 cards. These aren't really cards; they're kind of like plastic. Like if you are a blackjack dealer, these would be like kind of the inserts that you put into the deck. Anyway, so you have these cards, and so the other person takes these, they shuffle them, and then they take the one that's them and they hand it to the other person. So if they're the operative, they hand them this one and they hand them that. And the other person looks at it and sees it, and then they can't show it. They can't say, hey, look, he's an operative. Hey, look. But they can say anything they want. It's just because this is a secret knowledge game. And so you could lie about what they are or whatever. Now, the person that does that, who asks to see the person's ID, they can, if they want, go ahead and take the cards themselves, pick one, and hand it back to the person that they hacked to then reveal themselves to you. You can't lie in either one of these sections. You can't do that. You can't say, oh, really? Well, I'm an operative too. You can't do that. You have to be honest with what you are. But that you be saying, why would you do that? Well, the thing is, remember, you don't want people shooting you that are on your team, because that's a bad thing to happen. So if you figure out, hey, I'm an agent too, buddy, here, look, we can work together, that's great. Now, the problem with that is you might say, well, then do it. However, if you're playing like a 4-player game, it's 2 versus 2. So if I was an operative and I hacked a guy and he showed me that he was an operative, if I immediately turned around and said, well, here, this is what I am, and then he took it and he looked at it and we exchange a knowing nod or wink, well, it's a 4-player game. The other 2 players are like, well, obviously we're on the same team. Let's get them and take them out. I mean, part of this game is the best defense in this game isn't the gear cards, it's the uncertainty of the other players as to whether or not they should be shooting you. And it's also the open negotiation and conversation and what have you. So that's really how this game works. You place a meeple, you take the action on the spot, and then you do a hostile action if able. I should mention that some of these weapon cards, like this sniper rifle and other cards, they'll have a range. That means that you can be on one spot, like say over here, and you can shoot somebody as long as you are orthogonally within range of the other player. So if you're here and you can shoot something 3 spots away, you could shoot over to here, or you could even shoot here. You can't go diagonal, but you can go 1, 2, 3. So if you were here and you could shoot 1, 2, 3, you go 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, but you couldn't reach the other corner. So just something to keep in mind. And also there are gadgets that allow you to increase the damage, or that allow you to like homing bullets will add damage to a weapon. You can add that to a weapon. Super scopes will add plus from range to weapons as well. Things like that will do that. Now, some weapons and gadgets, for that matter, will have things that say discard after use. Then obviously that just means exactly that. You discard them after use. Rail guns or whatever. But some weapons, like this really good sniper rifle, they have, you can keep using them. Notice how, they also have some special rules, any other players in this zone other than an attack player also take 3 damage. So, it's one of those things where, it's you might want to make sure that your teammate isn't in the same spot that they are being shot at. So, now, finally, what do all these spaces do? So, you might have some trouble seeing it. There's some writing on each one of these, and it's kind of smaller writing, and I apologize if you can't actually see it. But it actually specifies, there's a number that's in these boxes, like a 1 asterisk, 1 asterisk, 2, things like that. The things, obviously, with the cross to it means that those spots can't be used. It isn't an available spot. So just keep that in mind. And then, but here's a 1 asterisk, 1, and then a 2. And then like the 1 asterisk is the gadgeteer, the 1 is the gadget, and the 2 is the self-destruct. And so there's like 3 different spots that have 3 different abilities. So just quickly, I'm just going to kind of go over these. I'm not going to go deep into the mechanism of each action, but just give you an idea. So at the embassy, that spot 1, that's draw 1 intel token. You just draw a token off the top, and you just have it for use later to hack into somebody else's ability. This spot over here is negotiate. As long as the other person agrees, you say, let's swap 2 spaces of 2 meeples. You can go ahead and swap 2 spaces of 2 meeples. That could be, because you obviously, a person that's going to agree with that is most likely going to be somebody that's on your team, and you're going to convince them to go ahead and do that swap, so like maybe you can get closer to somebody so you can get your weapon within range so you can attack them, things like that. So like you can, if you have a really good weapon, but it only has a range of 1, and let's say, like the green guy was over here, and you know your teammate, this pink guy, was right here. You'd say, "Get me over there," and so you'd swap places, and then for your hostile action, you boom, blow them away. So things like that. All right. So moving on to the headquarters. The headquarters has 1, a future jump, which allows you to gain the first player marker, which is this little gun here. It means that you would go first in the next round. And then also you get a ghost unit, which is one of these little meeples here, these gray meeples, that allows you to place that, like you get placed after all the other units have been placed. So basically you get an extra action with that little ghost unit, which is always good. Oh, and I should have mentioned something. There is this turn track here, the terror status. So as the game escalates, this isn't a game where you can rest on your laurels and just sit back and wait and see what happens. Because as this escalates, there is this little track on here. It starts +0, but then it's 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. That is the bonus to damage for every single attack, even punching hand-to-hand attacks. So as the game progresses, all the attacks become more and more deadly. So it's like one of the cool things about this game is that it is over relatively quick because the game lends itself towards a very vicious, bloody end. But, alright, moving on to the laboratory. The 1 spot is the gadgeteer. It just allows you to take the top 3 gadget cards. You pick 1, put the remainder at the bottom of the deck. Just the gadget allows you just to take the top card and you use that. And self-destruct, you choose 1 player with at least 1 gadget card. They must discard that gadget card. But if they refuse, they take 2 damage if they refuse to get rid of it. So that's a way, like, if somebody's got a really good gadget, you want to get them to get rid of it, you can do that, or else they take the damage for that. Going on to the night room, the heister is the first spot. Is you select any 1 unit currently in any zone, and that player must give you a weapon or gadget, or they take 3 damage. The pickpocket, you select 1 unit in any zone that's within 1 range. So like instead of the other ones, currently the first one was any zone. Now it's within 1 range, and they have to give you a weapon or gadget card. If they refuse, they take 2 damage. And then finally the sniper sperch. If you're placed there, your unit may attack with any weapon card, and you add +2 range and +2 damage to whatever weapon you have. You can't use any gadgets with the weapon, but you can get +2 range and +2 because you're up on a high spot as a sniper. Just going to go down here to the black market. The first spot is the expert haggler. You discard any 1 card and you draw 1 new card from the top of either the weapons or gadgets. The trader, you can discard 2 cards and from your hand and draw 1 new card from either the top of the weapons or the gadgets. And then the scavenger allows you to take a damage and then take any card of from the discard pile. So like you can go ahead and like you get rid of, take a little bit of damage, but you go through the discard and maybe get a weapon that somebody's discarded, like or a good gadget, if you will. The drone control is pretty cool because with the drone control, you will get, obviously, as you can probably guess, a drone that you can place it within any zone. You use these little tokens here, and then when you place those in there, all units currently in the zone take 2 damage if the players have gadgets, but if they don't, then they're fine. You can also place a drone with the second spot, which is the disrupt. You place any drone on any zone location, and then no units can be placed there for the remainder of the round. Units that are already there are fine, but you can't have anyone that get added in. And then finally the bunker buster, you place a drone in any zone and all units within that zone take 3 damage. So this is one of those things too where it is never good for your team to bunch up in one spot. Always a bad idea. So just keep that in mind. All right, finally 2 left. We have the facility, emergency room to reduce the total damage reduce your total damage, double the current round. So it's round 1, you restore 2, round 2, 4, so forth, and it's a place where you can heal. And then finally a field beam, which is here. You send a protective shield to another unit currently in the zone, and that cannot be attacked this round. And to use that, you just use we use this cool little blue cube. You just handed that to somebody, put it next to their meeple like so, and now they have a field beam over them. They can't be harmed if they have that. You can also protect your own unit. You can protect your other unit, like, because you remember you have 2 units on the board, but you can't protect the one that is in that spot. And finally, we have the armory, and that's just obviously where you're going to get weapons. A lot like the gadgeteer spots. The first spot allows you to draw 3 weapons. Pick one, put the rest in the bottom. The second spot allows you just to take one weapon card from the top. And finally, the bottom one says deal 3 damage to any other unit currently in any zone. It does not count as your hostile action. So the armor can be pretty powerful because basically I think that's like what they call, that's called target. I don't know, maybe it's like you call it a missile strike or something. You can do 3 damage to somebody and then you can immediately attack them again, and that can be really, really devastating with the combo on that particular move. Now there's one other thing I forgot to mention, this is the last thing, is that the first 2 actions of your turn are going to be placing your first meeple on and then your next meeple on. You don't have the option of like taking him and then moving him and then moving him and then moving him back and forth. You have to, the first 2 rounds of the game have to be getting your meeples onto the board, so you can't game the game that way. Just something to keep in mind. But there you go. I mean, that's the entirety of the game. The beauty of this game is in its simplicity and the fact that it is a worker placement game. But the actual like actions themselves aren't really all that complex. I mean, they're very easy to take care of. The game is difficult because of the secret roles, because of the negotiation, because of the table talk, because of the bluffing, because of the lies, because of the deceit. And that is what I love about the game. I have always been a big fan of the traitor mechanism in games. Battlestar Galactica is one of my absolute favorite games. If I ever did like a top 100 or whatever, it would be in that top 10. And games that can use the traitor mechanism, that allow me to use my ability to have the ability to lie to my friends' faces. I'm good at it, and so I'm very successful with games like this, and I enjoy the reveal, if you will, and the reveal of the treachery, if you will. So the game is a heck of a lot of fun. It's a great combination of both Euro mechanisms and also the traitor mechanisms, and I think if you're a fan of both of those, you're really going to like this game. But let me talk more about that in my conclusion, which I'll do right now. Alright, there you go. That is Agents and Operatives. You should have a pretty good idea of how the game is played. Like I said, it's if you play worker placement games, you're going to understand the mechanism of that. Take the meeple, put it in the spot, activate the spot, see what happens. But as I said in the gameplay portion, that wouldn't be much of a game. I mean, honestly, it just wouldn't. I mean, there isn't enough variability. There isn't like a synergy of spots, like activate this and collect that and turn it into this. Like that process that you've seen in tons of Euros. But this is taking the very simple worker placement esque part of games, and they're applying it in a very, very fun way to the hidden traitor world. And I've already kind of expressed the reason why I dug this. I mean, I really, really like secret traitor games. I like the ability that it's my wits, it's my ability to discern my opponent's thoughts and abilities and their intentions, before they figure out what my intentions are as well. I excel at this type of game, so it probably is one of the reasons why I enjoy it. I don't say that to brag or anything like that. I just do really well at hidden traitor games. I don't know what it is. I think I can maybe just draw a bead on certain people as far as what their goals are, and I'm just able to, exert my whatever charisma I have, my will, upon the other people on the table and convince them otherwise. Now that's worked against me, in all honesty. Like whenever I sit down and play this game, like everybody always says, well, we know Lance is the traitor, so let's just go ahead and just put him in the brig right now. And it's just like, it's worked against me a little bit, but the thing is that I enjoy this whole aspect. I enjoy the whole aspect of the team, if you will. I like the idea of being, on a team, but not knowing who my friends are. There was a great game, and I think the remake was called Castle of the Devil, but I mean it was like, like the original German was like a coach ride to the Devil Palace or something. It was Teufelsberg or something like that. I forget what the name was. I own it. It's a little tiny card game. But it had kind of this as well, because like you didn't know exactly who was on your side, and so like you were always like, basically these people were trapped in this horse carriage, and they were fighting and wrestling with each other, trying to get these secret items that were important to their secret society, if you will. And so I really enjoyed that game, and this game also reminds me of that, but in a more modern sense, if you will. And also, like I said, I enjoy worker placement games, so I liked that process. Now, some people have told me, like, well, the worker placement isn't really important. It's like, well, actually, yes, because there is, like, timing-wise, as far as the actions you're going to take. And especially once you actually get to the point where you can kind of count on your teammates to help you out, but also counting on your teammates to, not be really blatant about their actions, if you will. I mean, there's a fine line. There's a delicate touch to the assistance and to the process that is difficult to maintain in this game, but is very, very rewarding because of the fact that you are trying, desperately to impress upon the people that are really on your team. Like when you trade these cards, to let you know, there is something wonderful about the moment where they hand you the card that says agent or whatever, and they're on your side, but you don't hand a card back. But now, over the next few turns, you need to kind of almost weirdly go out of your way to show them that you're on their side, but you don't want to say it out loud, because then somebody that maybe had looked at their card knows who they are. And this is where the trouble is like, you have to remember who's looked at the card, and you don't know if Bobby or whatever is on your team, so you can't just blatantly help them. And because then Bobby is going to shoot you if he thinks you're on the other side. So this is one of those things where it's like you are trying to play everybody off of each other. You're trying to remain neutral but helpful, if you will. And it adds this wonderful, delicious storytelling, story-driven plot of the game forward. And this is one of those games that, like, winning or losing, you don't really care. I mean, it's great to win, but it's the story, it's the journey, it's the fun of the game, of getting to that point, like to finally the big reveal, as I mentioned during the gameplay, the big reveal, the big story, like, oh, I was against you all along, aha, or just like, really, it's like I could have sworn you were a mercenary, things like that, exclamations of joy or disgust or pain or whatever, or like the ultimate backstab as the person that you thought was on your side the entire time all of a sudden shoots a homing missile right into your back. So I mean, there's these things in the game that, like, they have those wonderful, well, epic moments, that are just like you're cheering or you're cursing, but all in all, win or lose, you're just having a blast, and that's what Agents and Operatives does. So if you like, secret roles, if you like secret teams, and you like, a little bit of Euro thrown in, I think you're going to absolutely love this one. I think you should go ahead and check out the Kickstarter page. You can learn more about Agents and Operatives. If you have any questions about the game in general or specifically or whatever, go ahead and post away. I'll answer those to the best of my ability. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.